Here we are at Football Golf Club, and I'm here to interview the most successful manager in Everton's history. A man who was responsible for bringing me to this great club. It is Howard Kendall. Good morning, boss.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, all the former players, myself included, still relate to him as the boss. In my eyes, he'll always be the boss.
It's a very big compliment, actually, when players, especially when you've sold them, come back and say, "Well, hello, boss." You know, it's a compliment.
I suppose it is, Gaffer. I think it shows that what you did for their career, what they thought of you as a manager. It must be.
Yeah, and the reasons why. At sometimes, you know, you feel as if as a manager you've got to make difficult decisions, and some of them are when you have to possibly do a deal and make an exchange or sell someone to gain money. I mean, Steve McMahon was one example. Aston Villa wanted him. They were offering £300,000, and I wanted Trevor Stephen from Burnley, and I didn't have the £300,000, and I had to decide whether or not it was Steve McMahon or Trevor Stephen. And you know, I went for Trevor.
Yeah,
With difficult decisions.
Yeah, well, that's why you were a top manager. You had to deal with them kind of decisions. But just before we go into your management, I want to start about your playing career, because I've seen clips. You were a successful player. You were a very good player in my eyes. But how did the move from Preston North End come to Everton?
No, I think that I was lucky. You know, when you talk about a playing career, I mean, I was very fortunate to play in a cup final in 1964. Became the youngest. It was a tremendous occasion.
How did you feel about that at such a young age?
The players themselves, the other players, I mean, really protected me from the media and everything, you know, and it was totally focused on the game. And I was confident enough. I'd been in the first team a few games. I'd scored the winning goal against Nottingham Forest in a cup replay.
Bobble?
I think it was a
bobble or a good finish?
Oh. What do you think?
I think it was a good finish.
I think so as well.
I don't want to jump the gun too much, because I know you had many games, but the three of you in midfield, that's all anybody talks about. When I signed for the club, it was even my dad, when I was coming for talks, went Ball, Kendall and Harvey. He said they were sensational players. He said you've got something to live up to there, because the Evertonians will expect you as a midfield player to be as good as them three. What a midfield three you were.
I think that's down to Harry Catterick.
Right.
In all fairness, I think that...
what was he like, Harry Catterick?
Distant.
Was
you
he?
didn't know him. Never got to know him. Very rarely came on the training ground. But I think that his knowledge of football and the way that he brought in players to play with a balance in the team was something that you'll never forget, and that's something I took into management. You know, you have to have a balance. I mean, Colin was already at the club. He'd already bought Bally after the World Cup final, and I was the third one. But as Brian Bone used to say, we were the only three-man team that won the league. I mean, it was just headlines every week. And I mean, after we'd played Los Tres Magnificos and things like that, like, you know.
What were the strengths?
But it was a great team.
Oh, fantastic!
It was a great team. It wasn't just the three of us.
No, it was a fantastic team. But what were the strengths of you three individually? What were your strengths? What was Colin's strengths? And what were Bally's strengths?
Yeah, I think Colin was a gifted player. He had Johnny Morrissey outside him. I think that suited Colin. I worked the right-hand side. I was more of a defensive player than Colin, but Bally did the lot. I mean, he covered a lot of ground, scored a lot of goals, and for me, he was the best player I ever played with.
Yeah?
Yeah, without a doubt.
That is some statement. Some statement.
I didn't play with you, did I?
No, well, you didn't, unfortunately. Well, you did in training now and again.
All right.
I've seen enough in training to suggest you weren't.
All right,
fair
enough.
How did the move come to Everton? Who got in touch with you? Was it Blackburn who approached you and said, we've had an approach from Everton? How did it come about?
Yeah, it was at a time when we were going for promotion, and I said, to the chairman of Blackburn Rovers and said, I'm not interested in talking to anybody until the end of the season. Because I wanted Blackburn to be a first division team when I left. Promotion in 2 seasons on the trot. Unfortunately, we missed out on the last game of the season. We won at Bristol Rovers and Swansea won at Preston. So I was leaving. I knew I was leaving. But you know, how could you turn down Everton?
No.
You know, it was just such a massive club and so many fun memories. You know, as a player, I thought, well, fantastic. And the chairman of Blackburn said, why don't you wait for a couple of years, you know, and have more experience? I said, well, somebody may go into Everton and be successful and I won't get the offer.
Yeah, exactly. The expectation levels at both clubs must have been massive difference, really, between Blackburn and Everton.
Well, at that particular time, I mean, Everton were finished about 17th down in the table. So, I mean, you know, as a big club, they made a decision to... Gordon Lee was no longer going to be the manager, and we got to find one. So, you know, I was very fortunate that they came for me.
Did you find it hard at first?
Well,
because people talk about before I came, the Inchy goal at Oxford. You were struggling at the time, and that changed the course. Well, I don't believe in that. I don't believe that one goal changed Everton Football Club, changed you as a manager. He don't do that. In my eyes.
It was difficult at the start because, I mean, when we go back to Catterick with the balance and the team and whatever, and I looked at the Everton squad and there was about 6 centre-halves, about 8 central midfield players, 1 left wing, nobody on the right-hand side. It was just so unbalanced. And I was remembered of the Magnificent 7 or Magnificent 8, wasn't it? That I did sign when I went in there.
Yeah.
And they said we want changes, you know. But I had to look at it and say, well, where are the changes? Now, my first signing was Neville Southall, so they can't say anything about that because he became the best goalkeeper in the world for me. And he was absolutely fantastic. But I brought players in to fill it as a balance. Now, I knew we went up to about 8, I think we finished in the first season. And I knew it wasn't going to be good enough to win things.
Yeah.
But you took one step at a time. And that was my first step. And then you go out and you try and improve on what you brought in.
How did Neville come about?
It was funny, really, because I had a friend who had a pub in Llandudno. And Norman Jones, his name was, and he had the Neville pub in Llandudno,
right?
Believe it or not. And Neville Southall's dad used to drink in the pub. And he called me. I was at Blackburn at the time.
All right, yeah.
And he called me and he said, there's a player playing for Winsford United, goalkeeper. He says, you must come and have a look at him. So I thought, yeah, all right. I went down there. He was absolutely magnificent.
Yeah.
Not often you can go and watch one goalkeeper, or a goalkeeper, and say yes on one game.
Yeah.
But I did, and he went to Bury for £6,000. Now I didn't need a goalkeeper at Blackburn. They wouldn't let me sign another one. I had 2 senior goalkeepers, but when I went to Everton, I wanted to clear out certain goalkeepers and thought, well, I'll go to Bury. I think Jim Eiley was the manager there at the time.
Right.
And from £6,000 to Bury, from Winsford, it was £150,000 from Bury to Everton.
Right.
And I think that, well, we just talked about it. It was phenomenal. I mean, I can honestly say that I don't remember Neville Southall costing us a goal.
Is that right?
And that is true. That is true.
Well, I know the ambassador, Graham Stewart, was an ambassador with me, and I have to travel in with him, unfortunately, every day. He reckons he were the best signing you've ever made, but surely Neville must be the best signing you've ever made.
Is this live?
Neville's got to be.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, yeah. I mean, fortunate enough, I mean, there was some very good signings. I mean, they came off the likes of Bracewell. Reedy was a gamble. Andy Gray was a gamble.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we had two great
Why,
seasons.
why were they a gamble? Because they're injuries?
Previous injuries.
Yeah.
Previous injuries, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. But they all had medicals.
Yeah.
And the doctor said, okay, because you're always guided by those people. How many games did you play the previous season and this, that and the other? We had to stop Andy Gray training.
Yeah.
You know, just have a little jog,
Yeah.
Andy. Don't be blasting balls in the back of the net, you know, because his knees were dodgy. Reedy was injured early on in a reserve game at Newcastle. So I thought, oh, well, you know, that's a mistake. But Reedy was absolutely brilliant because when he came back after the injury, he didn't go into block tackles to affect the knee. He pinched balls.
Right, yeah.
He read where the ball was supposedly going from the
Yeah.
opposition player. And he nicked in and got them. So there was no crunching tackles and he had a fantastic spell with us. When you talk about Neville Southall signing, I think I've got to mention Kevin Sheedy on that one.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Really, when you look at the old footage, you see how many times he was involved in either making a goal or scoring a goal. I think it was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, he didn't get the chance at Liverpool. He was only playing League Cup matches apparently, and went to look at him at Preston in a reserve game with Colin Harvey, and I was a little bit sceptical in terms of his work rate.
I used to tell him that every week.
Did you? Yeah.
Why did he need to work when
he wouldn't take notice of you? Didn't take notice of me either.
No, you're right.
So, Colin says, let's go for him.
Yeah.
And when I said to Sheeds, I said, I wasn't happy about your work rate, you know, at Preston in the reserve game. He says, no, I'm a first team player.
Is that what he said? Fair enough.
Fair enough.
There's no.
I said, well, you know, if I sign you, you're in the first team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any players that you missed out on that you would have liked to have signed for Everton Football Club around that time?
My first one, when I went there the first time, I went to West Brom for Brian Robson.
Right. Yeah.
But I think the manager had different ideas. I thought the first signing is important when you move to a club, and I thought he was the one.
Yeah.
Now it wouldn't have been the Magnificent 7 or 8 or whatever if I'd signed him, because the money would have gone. But I thought that he was probably the best player I could possibly go and get. But,
And he's the kind of player that Evertonians would have loved.
oh yeah.
I know all the boys that were there in '85, and all the fans talked to me about the game that the old lady, Goodison Park, absolutely rocked that night. Can't let you get away without telling me about what your thoughts were on that Bayern Munich game.
I was going to tell you the name of the game. I was going to tell you that.
No, I'm going to tell you that because obviously
I knew what you were talking about.
I knew my history. I had to
knew
look
what
at
you
my
were
history.
talking about.
So come on and give me that day. Was it as good as everybody said?
Oh, jeez, dearie me. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. I mean, at 0-0 away, Udo Lattek, their coach, had said it a good result for us. They haven't scored away from home.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. So fair enough, like, you know, Goodison was rocking. And we went 1-0 down. So at half time, you do a team talk, and I mean, things stand out on team talks, but they were natural with me. I thought, well, it wasn't a case of people remembering what you'd said. It was a case of like, hey, we're going towards the Gladys Street end. You know, they'll suck it in.
Yeah, yeah.
Two from long throws. The first goal, the equaliser, and the second one to go in front, and the third one, Trevor Stevens' goal. I mean, that was absolutely incredible. But Udo Lattek comes down the touchline.
Yeah.
Kendall, this is not football. Well, you can imagine the response from that, from everybody standing up. Yeah.
Do one, mate.
Oh, no,
politely,
two.
politely. But I felt not the final for me, because I was just watching it I was a Leeds player at the time. But I remember watching the game, the final, and it was the most one-sided final. Was it I'm not saying an anticlimax, because it couldn't have been an anticlimax.
No.
You won the cup, but compared to that game, was the final anticlimax?
I'd seen Rapid before, and I couldn't tell the players how confident I was, because they may have gone out there with thinking, oh, it's an easy one after Bayern. So I didn't get into that, but I was so confident because we were so much better than them.
Yeah.
But I mean, a little journalist came down to me. I was upstairs and then went downstairs the dugout to be with the lads. We're 2-0 up. And this little journalist comes up, Kendall, what is it like to win European Cup Winners' Cup? I went, well, then Krankel scored. I went, clear off. And then Sheedy went straight down and scored. Kevin Sheedy went straight down and scored. And I went, hey, come here, lad, sorry about that. I'll talk to you now.
I remember watching the game and then, as I said, seeing it again. The number of Evertonians, they only seemed as though they were Evertonians in the ground that night.
Yeah, fantastic. Great atmosphere.
What did you feel like when they lifted that cup? Must have been proud.
Well, I think you always remember your first time that you picked something up, which was the FA Cup.
Yeah, that's right.
In '84. So you remember that one, and then of course winning a couple of leagues, and then, but I mean the European one was special, And then the band came in.
That's right, it did. It's like the '87, when I joined you, the '87 team obviously went on and won the league. Did it feel good from the previous season? Obviously Liverpool won the league, and was it nice to get the title back off them?
Well, it was, because there was a lot of controversy in terms of the selling of Lineker, and
why did
it for one reason.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you that.
I did it for one reason, because when we won the league in '85, we had about 5 players in double figures, goal scorers. And when Lineker came, although he had a tremendous season, I mean, you couldn't knock him. I mean, but he was the one that was getting the goals, and he was the only one, because we went more direct. But it wasn't a tactical thing. It was Lineker, his pace.
Yeah.
Oh, and I thought
you had to play to his strengths.
I thought, yeah. Then I thought, well, Sheedy's running out of goals. He's not getting goals. Trevor Stevens not getting goals. Inchie's not getting goals. I'm thinking, I want to change the system back to what it was.
Yeah, because
but we did win it the year after.
Yeah, you did. And you go through that team. Mountfield scored vast amounts of goals.
Yeah.
Sheedy, Stephen. You're right, Sharpie. Ince.
Yeah.
The goals were shared around.
Correct.
And, you're probably right to sacrifice who were a fantastic player for Everton and scored lots of goals. But
what I should have done possibly is to get a clause maybe that we had first option if he came back from Barcelona, because he went to Tottenham. So I think that maybe I slipped up there.
Right.
That we should have been given possibly a first chance to bring him back,
Right.
if it was right for the club.
I've got a gripe with you, by the way. I signed 6 months later. You left to go to Bilbao. Was it because you were under pressure because of my performances, or
6 months later?
Yeah, you went 6 months later.
Did you only enjoy me for 6 months?
Well, I'm not saying I enjoyed you, to be
right.
quite honest, but why Bilbao? I'm there, I'm thinking I've signed for Everton Football Club, one of the best managers. You convinced me to sign for this great club, and then all of a sudden...
You don't regret it, do you? You don't regret it, do you?
Oh, I don't regret it one little
No,
bit.
well, that's fair enough.
I'm very grateful.
No, what I'm saying
why
is...
Bilbao? Why did
Why Gary Stevens to Rangers? Why Trevor Stevens to Rangers? I mean, I just really enjoyed the European campaign, and then we got banned. You know, for 5 years. And I thought, no. And they sold it to me, to be honest. I mean, it's still a fantastic club at the moment, even though that there's only Basque players play for them.
Right.
But there's only 3 clubs not been relegated in Spain, ever. And that's Real Madrid, Barcelona and Bilbao.
Did you enjoy it? Spanish were good, was it?
Yeah?
Obviously not.
No. That was on the last day I was there, that.
And obviously you moved on, then you came back to England, managed a couple of clubs, but tell us about finally getting a call to come back to Everton.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was...
Did it ever cross your mind not to, for it to come back? And
No,
did it
never.
not?
No, I was at Man City, things were going well. When I joined Man City, they said, well, you must keep us up. We're paying you very well. We stayed up comfortably, to be honest. And then I left.
So no regrets at all
No,
about coming back?
no.
You couldn't, could you?
No.
And like, we went out socially the other night to some friend's 65th birthday, and I saw Evertonians, boss, grown men coming over to you, kissing your hand and saying thanks for the memories.
I mean, naturally, it's an age group. I mean, youngsters, the parents have got to tell the youngsters that those times. So there's a certain age group which really come up to you, and they were delighted with what they'd seen, and I'm, you know, proud of it.
Can I just finish off by just saying thanks for getting me to Everton Football Club. Absolutely love the place.
It was a bargain.
No, it weren't a bargain yet. It weren't at first. I didn't really do myself justice at first. Progressed later on at right back and stuff like that. But I'd just like to thank you for bringing me to this club. It's a fantastic football club, fantastic manager, and we could talk for hours, I'm sure, and probably off air we will talk for hours. Thank you very much.
Look forward to it. Thank you very much, Ian. All the best to you.